I just built an AI system that creates video ads, professional ones, just like these, in just a couple of minutes from a single prompt using Nano Banana and Veo3 on the n8n platform, which I'm hosting on Hostinger. So in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can do this, including getting this template completely for free on my free school community, which you can then run on n8n, which is an AI automation platform, to run this whenever you want on autopilot. So to get started, the first thing we have to do is to run n8n. So if we go here, we're going to go to hostinger.com/AI look, and from here we can now get an n8n self-hosted instance. So n8n, as I was saying, an automation platform. It's for no code AI workflows, i.e. these types of systems used to be a nightmare to try and code up, but now you can see them visually, you can create them visually, all using n8n. So n8n, you can either host it on the cloud or you can host it on somewhere like Hostinger. The cool thing about somewhere like Hostinger is that the fact it's self-hosted means that your data is completely safe. It's all basically on your own computer in the cloud, but also that you can choose and change between different specifications for this server to get the best bang for your buck, basically, and to get the best performance from your workflows. Because if you're running something like this to generate an ad, right, you could scale this up to then generate a bunch of ads for clients, or turn it into a website and create a whole SaaS business behind it. For that, you want to self-host it, and you want to be able to choose top tier lightning fast specs like Hostinger provide. So for this workflow, we're going to use the KVM2, which is perfect for this. It has 2 vCPU cores, 8GB RAM, 100 gig of disk space, and an 8TB bandwidth, which is more than enough for us. So if we choose this plan, we'll then pop this up here. Now, don't forget to get an extra 10% off. Don't listen to Honey, but use a coupon code here. We want to use AI look, and then click apply, and we'll get an extra 10% off here. So for 2 years, there we go, 630, which is what, 150 quid for 2 years of n8n, which is amazing. I recommend using a daily auto backup. Now this here is because if you have workflows like this and something was to go wrong, you would have yesterday's backed up on your VPS. So let's select a server location. I'm going to go with UK because it has the best latency for me because I'm in the UK, but you can actually see the latency of a bunch of different places here because you may want to move it for data purposes to another place. You can see how good or bad that's going to be, how it's going to affect you. Then we want to select an operating system. So for here, if we had like a plain OS, we could actually select something like Ubuntu, or I click on show more here, could do Fedora Cloud, a bunch of different stuff, Debian. But we don't want a plain OS, we don't even want this OS with a panel. We want to use an application, specifically n8n. You can do WordPress and Docker and stuff, which is super cool as well, even Supabase instance. But we want n8n, we'll click continue, and as you can see here, if I didn't go through all these settings just to show you, this is basically one click and it's up. So from here, we just add your name, your billing address, boom boom, and then that's you. Click continue, and then we can spin this server up. Now once you do that, it will install the instance, so it will basically install n8n onto your virtual computer, and then from here now you will have this VPS, which is a virtual private server on the cloud that you can go and access. Now it shows you here CPU, memory, disk and bandwidth, so you can always see if you need to upgrade or even downgrade, and you can manage if you have a bunch of different ones as well. So let's click and manage here, and we can actually manage this specific instance of n8n. Now, one of the coolest features of Hostinger right now is Cody. Cody is an AI assistant where we can go and have natural language conversation to understand this. Because I have a background as a cloud engineer, I understand at least half of what this means. Now, if you have no idea, you can just write a question in here, like, check my VPS backups, and then it'll go away now, and it'll actually turn this into a natural language query and then give you the information back just like that. So currently there are no backups available because we just created the instance. And from here as well, you can change the domain, etc. But basically that's us done. Now let's head on and click manage app, and it will open up our n8n instance where we can get started. First thing we want to do is click create workflow because we're now in n8n, and this is what you'll get, a blank canvas. Now the file that you're going to get is from my free school community. So on here, I share a bunch of different templates, resources, etc. If we go into here, n8n templates, you can see there's a bunch. Now, I will post, as soon as this video goes live, I will post out with a link to this here, and then you can go and download it. I'll just show you another one so that you understand what I'm meaning. Is if we go to, say, this Gmail agent, and we'll open it up. Now from here you'll get this JSON. If you click on that, you can download that, then head on to our n8n instance, import from file, and then you just want to go to your downloads, get that there, so video ad creator, open it, and then boom, you have it here now. All you have to do is hook up your own credentials and then you're ready to go. Now let's get into the build. We'll cover the architecture and then we'll dive deep into each node and how it actually works. Now that you have the workflow downloaded, let me walk you through step by step what's happening here. So on the high level, we have three main steps, right? The first step is essentially you give Telegram a picture. So for example here, I've run loads of these, but a picture could be like a Coca-Cola can, or it could be cat food, whatever, right? A product essentially. You need to watch if you're showing a bit of skin in it, because sometimes Gemini will say it's against its policy to use that. But anyway, so you give it a trigger. It will then go through here and analyze the image. It will try to find out what's in the picture. From then, it then adds it into a sheet and it tells you, cool, we've analysed it, we're moving on to generating the prompts for the image and for the video. So we have this AI agent which generates the prompts. We then go to Nano Banana, get the image created, we then upload the image, add that to the sheet, and then tell you the image is created. If we go to here, we can see blah blah blah, image ready, for example. Then step 3, once we have the image, we can now post this image to Veo with the prompt, so Veo3, create that video, again, upload it, add it to the sheet, and then send you the final link on Telegram. So super simple, high level, don't get confused by the structure. Sometimes big flows like this can be hard on your brain when you first open them up, but they're really quite simple. So now we understand that, let's go step by step through each node so that you can actually understand how this all fits together and where you need to change things. So first things first is Telegram. You have to connect Telegram. If you click create new credential, you'll get an access token to add in here. To get an access token, you just download Telegram, right? And then once that's downloaded, you can go onto Botfather, so just search Botfather on here. And then from there, basically you come on here, you /start, it'll ask what you want to do. You can then just go /new bot, then give it a name, and then another name, a username and an actual name, and then it'll give you this token. So this token here is how you will access the bot from n8n. Now given this name, it has to be globally unique. So then if you search for it up here, you'll be able to find it. So mine is vid add bot, and then you'll find it there. So that credential I was talking about a minute ago, copy paste that inside here, then it'll work. So you have your Telegram set up, you can now execute this workflow and wait for the trigger, or you can activate it and it'll always be ready to go. Now, once we've done that, we want to set the bot ID. So this is the ID that I just showed you a minute ago inside Telegram. And we're setting that because we're going to use it in the URLs later on so we can get some stuff. So for example, the next one here is get image path. So we're hitting the URL and it's apitelegram.org/bot. Then we're getting that bot ID, then getting the file, and then the name of the file, the ID of the file. Now, this here is an HTTP request. An HTTP request is essentially just a message over the internet. You're just using a standard procedure, protocol, to say, this is something I want to know, and then you go and get the information, right? That's how we're getting a file in this case. So getting the file that's at this URL. So the ID here, file ID, to get that, if we drop down, so on the left and on the right, left is input, right is output, in the middle, all the settings, all the stuff you're doing. So if we go on the left hand side, and we go down on the Telegram trigger here, you can see also we have schema, table, and JSON. JSON is normally the easiest to see for your brain, in my opinion. Table, the hardest, unless you have a bunch of items. And then schema is actually pretty good if you're completely unfamiliar with any level of coding, because JSON can look scary. But trust me, it's not. It's super simple. Key value pairs, name and a value, pretty much. So file ID is from here, and the way that you can actually get it in there is you can just grab it here and drag it over there, and it's that simple. So we now have that, gets the image, file ID, unique ID, size, and path. Cool, all good. So why do we need that? Well, next, let's set the image URL first. So image URL is going to be this file/bot. So remember this file. Set bot ID, blah blah blah, /, and this time we're going to get the file path, which we had gotten from that get image path. So we're now going to get that file itself. So we now have the image. Now we're going to analyze it. So we have the analyze image node here, and we have a bit of a text input here. So let me open this up, this expression. It has all this stuff here. Long and short of it is basically it says, you know, go and find these specific things out about the picture, just so that you can keep it consistent across time. Feel free to change it, whatever you want. Now, the image URL that we're sending in is the JSON image URL, so that Telegram image URL, so it's this one here. This $JSON inside the curly braces means it's an expression, which means it's dynamic, it can change, and $JSON just means the JSON from the previous node. So that's how this here image URL, and that's the JSON of the previous node, which is set image URL. Model, we're just using photo latest, analyze image. So that's all good, and that will go away then, and it will analyze the image, and it comes back with this answer here. Now the problem is, it brings it back in this JSON format, kind of. So JSON format is this color braces with text, and then the colon, text, then a comma, and new line and stuff, right? But it's brought it back as a string, i.e. a bit of text, not as a JSON in that JSON format, so it's like a stringified JSON. So to get out of that format, that's where we have this here. So we have the code, this JavaScript code, just a tiny bit of code, which basically takes this string here and turns it into an actual JSON that we can then pass along, which is cool. So for this here, for reference, it takes the product, the Coca-Cola can, but if we have a product and a character, it will take both of those as well. And that's if you go into the analyze image, go into here, pop that open, you can see that we have a character as well as a product, but it just brings back whichever it sees. So we've now got that, we have now this JSON. We then get now, right? And the reason that we get now, so that's $now, is this gets the current date time stamp. So like right this second. And the reason we use that is because we're going to use this as the identifier for each line in the table, or basically each run of this, because time moves forward, so it's only ever going to change. Therefore, we can use it as a unique identifier. So the next one here, and this is the same for all of them, is we append to a row in a sheet, or well, they're not the same because other ones are update, but this one's just creating the row, then the other ones are updating the row. So here, connect to your Google Sheets account. So you need to create a new credential. Now, to get this OAuth malarkey, or service account stuff, they have really good detailed information in the docs. So if you open the docs, and you can follow this through here. I'm not going to show it on screen because it can take like 5 minutes to actually set it up. But you can set up the OAuth through that. So you basically just create a Google Cloud project, enable an API, configure your OAuth screen, create a Google OAuth client credential, and then add it in. Basically the OAuth consent screen, which is the one which always throws me, is basically when you create an application and you want to sign in, when you try and sign in, it pops up and it's like sign in with Google, and then it pops up your email, sign in here. Now, that's an OAuth consent screen that you have to create so that people can do that. Anyway, you get that, bring it back, log your details in here, let's close that, and then you'll be logged in to Google. So resource here, sheet within document, operation, we're appending a row. So in the next ones we'll be updating, but this one we're appending. And then from the list of documents, it's video ad agency, sheet 1. So let me get this up for you. So I have this super simple sheet here that I created. Basically just have index, brand name, font style, product, blah, blah, blah. So these are all the columns here that we have. And then it just saves the data in here. Specifically the ones that I'll flag here for you to understand. Product color is the hex and the name. Why? Because a hex is like the actual detailed what the color is exactly. Name is orange because orange could be a bunch of different hex numbers. It's like a whole range of oranges. For example, white actually only has one, which would be this one. But whatever. You understand, you get the gist. And so there's a product color, character description, product description, any fonts that are used in it, the brand name if it can identify it. And then the image file is what we're going to add later once it's created, video file once it's created, and then the status. So the status here we have create, image done, video done, or error. So we're here, we're going to be updating all of this stuff. So this one here is red because there is no characters, or there are no characters, but that's completely fine. That doesn't matter for here. But essentially now what we're going to do is we're mapping each column manually. So the values we're sending in is this edit fields time now, so that's the identifier for this specific one. So it's like the primary key essentially for the table. We then have the brand name, which we're passing in, font style, blah, 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 all of this stuff. And where we're getting it, code in JavaScript, over here, code in JavaScript, and basically we've just drag and dropped it in there, and then boom, passes it through, and it'll update the table. Then, once it's updated the table, it will tell the user, base image analyzed, I'm now creating the ad. And the way that it knows which chat to then go back to the user is using this chat ID. And this ID is just simply the chat ID from this Telegram trigger. So we now have the initial analysis. Next thing we need to do is generate the prompts and then generate the image and video. So to generate the prompts, we have this AI agent, and as you can see here, we have a prompt where we say your task is create one image and one video, and then we pass in the description. Now, in the system message here, so that it understands, because obviously that is no context at all. The system message, we have this here, right? And it just has some rules as to what I think it should do. Now, prompt engineering is the way that you can actually set yourself above the rest, because if you have a subpar prompt, it's going to create a subpar result because it's all natural language. So for here, change this to whatever you want it to be. So like for instance here, focus on lifestyle and products in use. If you don't want that, don't do that. Because like for example, when I've been messing around trying this out, there's a bunch of different types of things you could do. So like for example, Coca-Cola, for one of the stills, it created this. But if you wanted something more a bit kind of engaging, you could create something like this, you know, which is pretty cool. And these are different system prompts, which will give different results. So really, worth you honing in on this, even if it is just going to ChatGPT and be like, right, this is what I want to do. Help me do it, right? Something like that. So we have that AI agent, and the way that it gets the specific prompts are, well, first, I suppose, it's connected to 4.1 mini because it's not too expensive. It's then added to this think tool, and this think tool, this is the default thing, so don't worry about typing that in. The think tool for this agent basically turns 4.1 into kind of a reasoning model, kind of. It's like halfway to a reasoning model, makes it think, like, is this the right answer? And then it will go think about it. And then the structured output parser is basically saying this is what I want your output to look like always. An image prompt, and then something, and a video prompt, and then something, as you can see, this is JSON. And the reason we want that is because then we can go back and get that image prompt and that video prompt. So next up, we have now our prompts. What do we do? So the first chain here is creating the image. So we're going to be using Nano Banana, i.e. Gemini 2.5 flash preview image, something like that. We'll go and check it out in a minute. And we're going to be using OpenRouter for that. So if we go over to OpenRouter.ai, here you can see me using it a bunch, and it's like, what's that, 4 cents per image. So we have this here now, Nano Banana, this is the real name, inside of OpenRouter, which is a place you can go to use a bunch of different LM models. This was actually free when it first came out, but they've changed it. Because like I always say, nothing's free. They're either using your data or something. If it's free, you're the product. So anyway, we have this one here. The way that we can use it is literally just go to API here, and then you can see that we have different ways to use it. Curl's the one we're interested in, because that's HTTP requests. Curl's like another way to format an HTTP request. And so you have this curl here, and literally all I had done was copy that, just so you know. And you can import curl here, and then you just paste it in, and then you click import, and then it'll auto-populate all this stuff. Now, the way that OpenRouter works is that you just hit the OpenRouter API. The way that OpenRouter works is you hit their API endpoint and you actually tell it which model you want to use. So you'll have to have one API key to use for all of their models. So if we scroll down here, blah, 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 you can see that basically what we have is the text, which is what we want them to generate, and we have the image URL. So you'll see here the whole thing's an expression. And that's because sometimes this prompt will have characters in it, which will break the HTTP request essentially. So if you turn the whole thing into an expression, it works fine. And to add in your API key, it's inside this authorization bearer. Boom, API key in here. To get that API key, super simple, click on create API key. Oops, I've done it there so fast by accident. This one here, create API key, then here, create API key, give it a name, click create, copy and paste it in. Boom, it is that simple. So, back to n8n, we then will send that up, and then I'll send that request in, and then it will send us back our results or file. Now, this file that we get back, we want to actually set this as a value because it will be sending us back a base 64 image. So if we show data on this left hand side, we see that it sends back a bunch of stuff. Because if you think about it, everything online is ones and zeros, basically, right? And an abstraction above ones and zeros is like text and character encoding, right? And so if a file is just a bunch of zeros and ones is what I'm trying to get at. And one way to represent that is as a string in what's called a base 64 string, which is this here. You see base 64, because this is actually the base 64 for an image / PNG, so for a PNG image. So this big bit here basically just selects this URL and then splits it such that it gets the base 64 and leaves this beginning bit because we don't need it. So it sets that, and then we convert that to a file. So we get that base 64 and we want to output it as a file, and that file is image PNG, blah, blah, blah. And then now from here, if we click view, you can see that it then creates this image. Perfect. We now have the image. We want to then upload that image to Google Drive. So connect to Google Drive, similar docs situation as your sheets. And from here, we want to file, upload. The name, I'm just going to give it that now, so that specific time on here. Here you could add in the brand name, whatever you want, and then underscore image, so we know it's the image. I'm going to my drive and under Veo3 ads from list here, and you can make whatever folder you want. That's just what I've called this folder, Veo3 ads. And so then it will upload that into there. It will then update the row here with that specific link. So last time told you it was append, this time it is update row. So I know there's loads of text happening here, don't worry. Basically, update a row on this specific sheet, and you want to match it on index, i.e. you want to find index, and you want to match this value. So you're looking for this unique, this primary key. Once you find it, insert this link as the image file. Now, what is this link? If you recall, $JSON just means one node back, look at the JSON, and .web content link means just go to the .web content link, which we have here. Now we have two different links here. You have content link and view link. You can see content link has this and export equals download. So if I send that link to someone, it would try to download the file, whereas this view link would try to view the file. So we can paste that in there, and then status I change to image done because the image is then done, and then we go and tell the user, and the way we tell the user image ready, and we pass in this image upload view web link. So this is just referring to two nodes back, so we can't use $JSON anymore because $JSON would refer to the one previous and it was actually two previous. So we have to explicitly name it and then view web link, and then say now moving on to the video. Now you will notice here actually, if we go back in, that there's backticks. Now these backticks turn this into like a block of code, and the reason you want to do that is because sometimes the URL you get, so like this here, will have an underscore in it, and an underscore will break Telegram's parsing. So basically when you try to send this message up to Telegram will be like, everything's in the wrong format, because it will like accidentally break the text, it'll escape the text. Anyway, so that is the NanoBanana one. So next we have Veo3. Now for Veo3, we're going to be using Fal. So I thought I'd just show Fal because Fal we'd used previously in another tutorial. I think it's a really cool platform. There is another platform which is appearingly cheaper, so I'm just going to let you know about it, which is this KIE API. You can see here that it says that they provide Veo3 and Veo3 Fast, blah 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 blah, for 40 cents, whereas for Fal it's 75 cent per second, so cheaper. I don't know how they make it cheaper. I think it's because it's one of those things they'll try to get you on the platform and then they'll boost the prices back up. So go check it out if you want, but I just use Fal because I like it. I think it's a good platform, and yeah, so I like the platform. So anyway, for Fal, which is essentially just a website that we go to, or a platform that we can use to get access to a bunch of different models. So if I open up just fal.ai dashboard here, we'll go to explore. So here you see it's even just advertising some Veo3 Fast, now with a 50% price drop. Ooh. And then we can click on the next one, Nano Banana, Clang, whatever this one is, another new one, Minimax, One, Flux, Minimax. Anyway, there's a bunch of different ones, and they're all for like video, speech, audio, and image as well. So we're going to be using this Fal Veo3. The way you get this URL, if you're wondering, so like for Veo3, come here and we're at Fal. Let me change all this stuff. So we'll just start Veo3 Fast. So once you're at Veo3 Fast here and you're logged in, you could change stuff, whatever. You can actually run it in here, but we want to use the API. So we'll go to API, and then for here, you want to make sure this is on curl, because that's what we're going to be using. And you can see that here it tells us basically what to do, right? And all the different things that we can actually send in as well. So go check that out if you're interested. But basically here, you can't copy and paste this curl in like the other one because it has this response equals $. I think you just need to remove that and this bracket and then remove that there. And then you can basically paste in this chunk and that will add it in. But anyway, that's just in case you're going to use another model so that you're aware. So that's what the URL is. We're posting up to say we want you to go and do this. We're sending headers, authorization, key, and then this key here, which is my API key and not bearer. So it was bearer for the other one, key for this one. Some websites just run differently. So to get the API key, super simple again. For this, if you just go to you and then account, and then account, API keys, and then here just add a key, give it a name, click create, boom, you're sorted. And by name I just mean description is what they call it. So once you have that, let's scroll down. Now I have 3 different fields. We have the prompt, and we're getting that prompt from the AI agent. If we go to Jason here, AI agent, we're getting this prompt, so the video prompt. And then we have the image URL. So this is our base image we're using to then animate on top. So we have upload image, blah, 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 blah. So right, this one here, if we go to here, upload image, we're using, I think it's the view link. We'll be able to see here, yeah, view link. And then I have this little piece of code which is .replace, because basically this doesn't work for Fal. It can't access the file through this view link. It has to change it into this file link instead. So that's what that little bit of code does, which I found out by asking Claude because it kept going wrong. And then aspect ratio, we have it as 9:16. You can have it as 16:9 or 9:16. 9:16 is like short form, 16:9 is long form, essentially, is a way to look at it. So we have that posts up, and that will then go to Fal, and then we have to wait. So I have a wait here of 2 minutes. Normally 2 minutes is enough. So if we go to Fal Veo3 Fast, is it this one, text to video, let's go to image to video, which we've done through this drop down. If we go to requests, you can see all of my requests here. Now the requests, they have a little timer of how long they took. So here we can see 74 seconds, 66 seconds, 50 seconds, blah, 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 right? So the longest one here was just over 2 minutes. So you could up that wait if you want, but on average, they're all, a minute or less, pretty much. So this is just to try and be safe. So bump it up if you want, but it will then just wait and nothing will happen. And then after 2 minutes, it will run this GET request. Now this GET request is because once it's done, your Veo3 and Fal, it will give you a URL and it will say your video is at this URL. So we can get, and then you have this and you paste in your request ID, basically coming from here, from the post as your request ID. and then it will give you back this URL where your MP4 Veo3 file exists. We will then download that file by another GET request, so we'll get and then that URL just from the previous one, and it will bring back the video, and we can either view that or download that natively in here, which is pretty cool. And then from there, we'll just upload the video, pretty much the exact same as the image, except this time, take note, we have the input data field is different, so it's the name for this here, whereas I think before it's just called data. Yeah, just called data because that one's data. Anyway, we then update the row, so this time it's video file instead of image file, and then we tell the user, boom, it's done. Again, make sure it's inside those backticks, and then on Telegram you get the messages to say that it's done. So it would be like this here, base image analyzed, now creating the ad. Then when the image is ready, it creates this here, which if you click will copy to your clipboard, and then the video. And there you have it. We've built an AI system which generates ads using AI from a single prompt and a product, all the way to creating images and videos. And now for all of this, it's only like 50 cents per video, and it's all running on a server costing me like £6 per month. And if you're going to scale this up to like an ad agency, remember that you can go over to Hostinger and you can upgrade anytime. Now, make sure to go and check out Hostinger. There will be the first link in the description below. You can head on over to hostinger.com/AI look, and then choose your plan. Directly from there, get your n8n instance up and running and start making AI automations today. And remember to head on over to the free skill community to get the template. Anyway, hope you liked the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.